Now let's take a look at how to work with heading tags in WYSIWYG Web Builder. So I'm going to go ahead to, I already have my WYSIWYG Web Builder opened. Let me just come to the toolbox and then let me search for heading tags here. So this is the heading tag 2. So I'm just going to click on it and then I'm going to draw in here. So just as you can see, this is the heading tag 2. And to get to the properties or to the settings of it, I'm simply going to double click on this. And once I double click on this, it gives me the properties of this particular tool. So we have the heading, we have the style, we have box shadow, text shadow, link, you have event, you have CSS3 animations and padding. So all these options available are actually settings you can set to the heading tag. But what we are mostly interested in has to do with the first part, which is the heading, and then you also have the style here as well. So when we come to the heading aspect, this is where, and the size, this is where we get to define any of the H1 tags that we want to use. Sorry, that's the heading tags we want to use. So we have the H1, H2, H3, all the way through to H6. And then just as we saw in the previous video, we realized that each and every one of them has certain relevance or importance it has on the website you are creating onto. Depending on what you want to create will determine which of them you are going to use. So if you are using H1, that shows how the text or information you have over there is very important. And then H6 is the least important text you have in there. So once you have the size set, so let's say you set this to H1, then you come to the text section where you get to enter your text information. So let's just say this is going to be about us. So that's where you enter text information. And then when you come to the bottom part, you have alignment. So this is where you set the alignment of the text that you've entered in here. So you can set it to the right, to the left, and then to the center. And then when you come to style, so this is where you get to specify the style properties of this particular heading text. So you have the border. So in case you want to have a border around it, you go ahead and then specify any of the border style we have in here. And then you get to specify the width of the border as well as the color. And then in case you are going to include any radius, that is the round edge around the border, you can go ahead and then specify that here as well. And then when you come to the very bottom, you have the text property. So you have the font family. So the fonts which are showing here are actually the fonts that I have installed in my WYSIWYG Web Builder version 15. So that's how come I have these fonts showing. So in case you don't have these fonts showing, all you have to do is to install those fonts and then they are going to be accessible to you over here. And then once you are done specifying the font, you go ahead to specify the style for it. That is, if you want it to be bold, do you want it to be italic, do you want it to be normal, and then bold, italic. So depending on what you want, you go ahead to specify that, and then you go ahead to specify the color for that particular text as well. Now the most important aspect working with the heading tag has to do with the size or the font size you'll be working with. The reason is because when you're working with, for instance, let's say heading 1 or H1 tag, which shows the how important that particular text is, and then let's say you specify the font size to be around 32 pixels, which is fine. It's going to increase the size a bit, which is fine here. Now when you go ahead to, let's say, duplicate this, let me just copy this using Ctrl+C and then paste it here. And then let's say I'm going to change this to H2. It is important to also change the size over here to, let's say, 28. Now when you do this, you can, it's not by force or it's not mandatory for you to do that, but this helps the consistency of how you're going about the heading tags. Because if you are saying H1 is the most important text, which is having a bigger size, what is the idea behind having H2 to have the same size as the H1? So it's always important to scale down the sizes of the font as you go ahead, you go downwards the heading tag. So from H1 to be the highest, you go to H2, H3, H4, all the way through to H6. And then once you are done with your style, that is the size here, you go ahead to specify the size that is going to be a bit below what you have for the H1. And then once you are done, you just go ahead and specify your text details and then you click on OK. So that's how simple it is to work with the heading tag. But mind you, depending on what information you have in there, it's also going to help with the search engine optimization of your website.